Betrayed and Bankrupted, the dark true story of my ex's 10-year prison sentence. I used to think revenge was a childish concept, something reserved for movie villains or bitter people who never learn to let go. But life has a strange way of molding you into what you once despised. Sometimes, revenge doesn't come from hate, it comes from exhaustion. From years of being trampled on by people who think you'll never fight back. That's exactly where my story begins, at the bottom of an underground parking garage. I live in a mid-sized apartment complex in a quiet neighborhood of Portland, Oregon. Each apartment gets 2 parking spaces, arranged one behind the other in long double slots. To get into the garage, you need a key fob for the automatic roll-up door. Without it, you'd have to tailgate behind someone else who just drove in. I only own one car, a 2013 Subaru, so I usually park in the back and leave the front spot free for when friends visit. Simple enough, right? But about a year ago, someone started parking in front of me, blocking me in completely. No note, no contact number, nothing. The first time, it was a Friday evening. I was supposed to meet friends across town, but when I went down to the garage, some old silver sedan had boxed me in. I thought maybe it was a mistake. I left a polite note on the windshield asking them not to park there again. By Sunday night, the car was still there. That became a pattern. Almost every week, if I left that front space open, the same damn car would appear. A battered silver Nissan with mismatched plates. At first, I tried to reason with the situation, left notes, warnings, even took photos of the car and taped them to the driver's window. I called the property management several times, but they were useless. "We can't tow it unless it's an emergency," they said, "and since it's private parking, the tow trucks can't access the lower level without clearance." Great. By week 5, I was done being reasonable. It happened again on a Friday. I was planning a short weekend road trip with friends, bags packed, playlist ready. I walked down to the garage that evening and there it was, the same dented Nissan, same stupid sticker on the bumper that said, "No regrets." My note from the previous week was still crumpled under the wiper. It hadn't moved an inch. I stood there for a long time, staring at that car, feeling something inside me shift. It wasn't rage, it was colder, quieter. A decision being made. I called every towing company in the area. None of them could fit a truck through the low garage entrance. One guy even laughed, "Unless you can levitate it, man, that thing's staying put." Well, I wasn't about to levitate it, but I could move it. My parents live about 30 minutes away. My dad's a mechanic, the kind who can fix anything with an engine and a stubborn curse word. I keep one of my project cars in their garage, and I remembered I still had my set of hydraulic car dollies there, little platforms that go under each tire so you can roll a car around like a shopping cart. I called a couple of friends, told them to meet me at my parents' place, and grabbed the dollies. We came back to my apartment around midnight, carrying the equipment quietly through the garage. It felt like a heist. The air smelled like gasoline and dust, the fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead. We slid the dollies under each wheel of the Nissan, pumped them up, and the car lifted just enough to move freely. 6 of us surrounded it, hands on cold metal. Someone whispered, "Ready?" and we started pushing. The car rolled easily, smoother than I expected. We maneuvered it slowly past the row of parked vehicles until we reached the far corner of the garage, an unlit space behind a concrete pillar that led to a dead end. Normally, it was used for storage or temporary construction stuff. Perfect. We rolled the Nissan into that dark corner, nose facing the wall, about 30 centimeters from the concrete. There was barely enough room on either side to squeeze past. Then we lowered it gently, took the dollies back, and left without a word. The car was invisible from the main aisle. To anyone else, it had simply vanished. When I came back on Monday after my trip, it was still there. I checked again on Wednesday, still there. The front wheels had turned a few degrees, meaning the owner had tried to get it out but couldn't. I almost felt bad, almost. By the end of the week, it was gone. I never saw that Nissan again. Whoever owned it must have learned a valuable lesson in respecting other people's space. That incident should have been the end of it, but in some strange way, it wasn't. Moving that car, trapping it, forcing its owner to face the consequences of their disregard, it did something to me. It awakened something, a quiet satisfaction in seeing justice take shape not through words, but through action. Real, tangible consequences. For the first time in a long while, I felt in control. But control is a dangerous thing. Once you taste it, it's hard to stop chasing it. When my mother passed away a year later, that control began to slip. And what happened after her death made the parking ghost look like child's play. Because this time, it wasn't some stranger parking in my spot. It was family, and family can be the cruelest kind of enemy. When my mother died, something in me broke, and it wasn't just grief. Grief fades, slowly, painfully, but inevitably. What doesn't fade is betrayal. The kind that comes from the people who are supposed to love you. The kind that smiles through polished teeth at funerals and stabs you the moment you turn your back. Mom passed away from cancer when I was 21. My father, Thomas, had taken care of her through every stage of it, every hospital visit, every round of chemo, every night she cried from the pain. He worked double shifts at the factory and still managed to come home early just to hold her hand. My mother's family, on the other hand, barely showed up. They lived across town, in the wealthier part of Portland, big houses, expensive cars, perfect lawns. My grandmother, Evelyn, always claimed she was too old to make the trip. My Aunt Diane was too busy. They came to visit twice. Once when Mom was diagnosed, and once right before she died. 2 visits in 3 years. After the funeral, they didn't even wait a full day before showing their true faces. That evening, while my brother Mark and I were still sitting with Dad, numb and hollow, the phone rang. It was Diane. She said we needed to meet immediately to discuss the future. Dad, still in his black suit, went to meet them at a nearby diner. When he came back 2 hours later, he was pale, shaking. They want custody, he said quietly. What? I asked, thinking I misheard. They want to take you and Mark. They said I'm not fit to raise you alone. That your mother's dying wish was for her family to look after you. He looked down at his hands. They brought a lawyer. That was the moment I saw my father's heartbreak turn into something darker, fear. Over the next few months, they made our lives hell. Letters from lawyers, accusations, whispered rumors at school about my father being unstable. Someone, probably Diane, told the local church that Dad had hit my mother. He hadn't, of course. But gossip spreads faster than truth, and soon even our neighbors started looking at him differently. Then came the inheritance. Mom had a modest insurance policy, just enough to help with bills and maybe save something for college. But when Dad tried to claim it, the funds were gone. Administrative errors, the bank said. Later we found out Diane had power of attorney for a joint account Mom once opened years ago. She'd moved the money. When Dad confronted her, she laughed in his face. You think you deserve a cent of her money? You took her away from us. You kept her locked in that house until she died. That night, I heard my father crying for the first time in my life. Mark and I sat in our room, listening through the thin wall as he hit the table again and again. He didn't deserve any of it. He was a good man, too good for them. They drained his energy, his pride, his will to fight. For years, Diane and Evelyn sent letters, threats, even social workers to our door. Somehow, Dad kept going. He raised us, worked, cooked, taught us how to drive, and never once complained. He used to say, let karma handle them, son. People like that always fall. But karma moves slowly, and I've never been a patient man. A decade later, I was 29. Mark had moved to California, Dad had finally started dating again, a kind woman named Carol who seemed to bring a bit of light back into his life, and we hadn't heard from Diane or Evelyn in years. I thought that chapter was closed. Then one summer afternoon, an envelope arrived. Inside was an invitation. A wedding. Diane's daughter, our cousin. Mark called me that same night. You got it too? Yeah. He paused. You thinking what I'm thinking? I was. We'd been quiet for too long. They'd slandered our father, stolen from us, treated my mother's death like a financial inconvenience. But the wedding would be packed with half the city's upper class, the same people who'd once believed their lies. It was the perfect stage to burn their reputation down. We planned it for weeks. Quietly, carefully, we gathered old letters, copies of documents, even a few printed messages from the time Diane tried to bribe Dad into signing over custody. We built a timeline, a decade-long record of cruelty and manipulation. When the day came, I wore my best suit. The ceremony was in a grand old church downtown, followed by a reception at a private villa on the edge of the city. The place looked like a magazine spread, white tents, gold lights, a string quartet playing softly in the background. Everyone who mattered in their world was there, the mayor, lawyers, business owners. Perfect. Diane greeted us like we were long-lost family. Oh, look who decided to come, she cooed. Everyone, these are my sister's boys. Such strong young men. Their father, well, that's another story, isn't it? She gave a fake laugh. My hands clenched, but I smiled. Not yet. We waited until the speeches were done, until the wine had loosened tongues and laughter filled the air. Then Mark nodded at me from across the room. It was time. I walked up to the small circle of people where Diane stood with the mayor and a few of her snobby friends. My glass of champagne trembled slightly in my hand. She saw me approach and smiled that fake socialite smile. Have you met my nephews? She said sweetly. They've done so well despite everything. Despite everything. That was it. I raised my glass and said, actually, Diane, since we're celebrating family, maybe it's time everyone here knows what kind of family this really is. The group fell silent. Diane froze. The mayor looked between us, confused. I told the story, every detail, my mother's illness, their absence, the threats, the stolen inheritance, the custody battle, the lies about abuse, the way they made my father cry himself to sleep for years. Every word came out sharper, louder. My voice shook, but I didn't stop. Mark joined in halfway through, reading from one of the letters Diane had written to our father, signed, dated, undeniable. By the time we were done, the music had stopped. The air was heavy, everyone staring at Diane and Evelyn. My grandmother was pale as paper, tears in her eyes. Diane's face turned crimson. The mayor quietly stepped away. One of the businessmen muttered something under his breath and walked off. Their friends followed, one by one, until Diane and Evelyn stood alone in the middle of the glittering hall, surrounded by silence. We left without another word. The next week, their world started to collapse. The mayor cut ties first. Then the local council withdrew Diane's company's contracts. Investors backed out. Rumors spread faster than wildfire, except this time, the truth was on our side. Their reputation, their money, their pride, it all crumbled. By autumn, Diane had declared bankruptcy. Their fancy house went on sale. Evelyn stopped showing up at social events altogether. I didn't feel joy, I felt peace. The kind of peace that comes when you finally see balance restored. When Dad found out what we'd done, he cried again, but this time, they were tears of pride. You didn't need to do that for me, he said. We did it for Mom, I told him. He smiled. Then she'd be proud too. For the first time in years, I believed him. But peace doesn't last, not for people like me. Once you've seen what revenge can do, Once you realize how satisfying it is to pull the strings instead of being strangled by them, you start to crave it. You start to see injustice everywhere. And when I finally met someone who reminded me of those same manipulative, smiling liars, I couldn't resist. Her name was Talia.